Hey everyone, you are listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat, and I am your host, Jay Scherr, and I am super excited today. I have got a phenomenal guest here with me. But before I introduce her, I wanted to start off with a quote that is actually from my guest. The one thing that we all have is resilience. No matter if your circumstances have narrowed your possibility, you can still have the life you've always imagined. Well, this is my guest's second appearance on the show. She's a wife and proud mom of two. She was at the top of her game in the fitness industry, appearing on leading magazine covers and vitamin bottles. But all of that changed in May of 2010 when a horrific motorcycle accident turned her world upside down. She didn't give up. She chose not to only live, but to thrive. Well, fast forward to today. She's a renowned resilience and transformation expert, a TEDx and highly sought after motivational speaker, a USA Today best-selling author, a coach, and host of a globally top-ranked podcast. She's been featured in popular media outlets, including Forbes, USA Today, The Doctors, The Today Show, People, and many others. Please welcome the woman who's helping all of us shift our mindset, embrace the present moment, and cultivate resilience while sparking more joy, Amberly Lago. Amberly, it is so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Jay, thank you so much. That was like the most incredible introduction. Can I just have you go around with me everywhere?
Anywhere you need. All you have to do is
I,
pull the string on my back, let it go, and I'll say what you need me to say.
well, I could just listen to you all day. It's your voice, but I
Oh,
also
thank you.
forgot about those vitamin labels that you mentioned. That was wild to walk into a Rite Aid and see like a whole section of vitamins with my picture on them. It was wild. So I forgot about that. But thank you so much for having me here.
It is absolutely my pleasure. So, as I mentioned, that this is your second appearance on the show. So, the first time we had a conversation, it was actually back in February of this year. And that was on the podcast itself, which was more of a long form conversation. And we really explored your personal story, the accident that you had, and all the different things that you went through at that time that had led to where you were in that moment. So, what I wanted to really focus on today is your latest book, Joy Through the Journey. I'd
Mhm.
love it if you would share with all of us a bit about that book, what brought that book to life, and why it speaks so strongly to the way that you show up and live your life today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I just spoke at an event a couple of weeks ago, and from stage, I shared for the first time about how I just lost my little brother. We just had a funeral for him.
Mm.
This year has been filled with ups and downs. Life has been lifey, but as it is for all of us, there's been some great times and there's been some big challenges, especially with my health.
Mhm.
And I had a sticky note on my computer actually for about 2 years that said Joy Through the Journey. And that name came from John Gordon, actually, who wrote the foreword for my book. He's a good friend of mine, and he had told me a while back, he goes, Amberly, you know what? I'm really good at titles for books. And I think your next book should be called Joy Through Journey because you talk so much about joy. And when I spoke on the stage last week and shared some of the challenges I was going through, I had a lady come up to me and say, Amberly, she was in tears and she said, I lost my brother 2 years ago. And how is it that you can stand on stage and you can talk about and talk about these things and yet exude so much joy. And I said, well, these are things that I practice every day. We all have joy within us, and there are ways to spark that joy even more. But when I actually had a publisher contact me and say, do you have an idea for a book? I was like, I sure do. And I pitched Joy Through the Journey, and they said yes. And I remember walking out of my office and said, honey, I just got a book deal. And my husband was like, oh, no, when are you going to have time for that? And I really had to pause. And I thought, well, I am going to make time for it. But then I also had to pause because honestly, I was in a place where things were eventful. I was going through challenges, and I thought, I can't write about a book about joy if I am not sparking joy in my life every single day. And so I really had to pause and think about what are some things that really just light me up, that really enable me to have that joy. And I always say I need to halt, never get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I had to think about the things that were non-negotiables in my life, some of the things which I had let kind of slip, like things that really bring me joy are moving my body. Like I was at the gym this morning, and moving your body moves your mood. It's scientifically proven to release endorphins, which make you feel good. And so I had to get back to basics and think about, well, I need to get out in nature more. And so I encourage you to really think about, maybe it's listening to music, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's hugging your favorite person, maybe it's reading from the Bible or your favorite book, whatever it is. For me, we have a new puppy. I love this pup, and it brings me joy just to be able to go on walks. Those are things that I was skipping in the past. I didn't, get outside in nature as much as I needed to. I think it's so important to do things for your soul care, not just self
Mm,
care. I mean, bubble baths and massages are great, but I had to do things that really filled my cup. And for me, one of the most important things is connection. I think that community and connection is what sparks so much joy. That's why I love going to events and speaking. It's not about being on stage. It's about connecting with people in the audience, getting to hug them afterwards, getting to know their story, and also seeing the transformation that happens in their eyes in the moment. And so it's been those small things and what encouraged me to go ahead and write the book. And everything I write about, I'm not an expert, I'm not a therapist, but they are hard things that I went through that I still was able to spark joy despite going through some really tough challenges. I mean, whether you're going through a health scare, financial crisis, or a challenge in your relationship, or your business, it's like there are still ways, despite pain in any way, to find that joy and just light up the path for others to spark joy as well.
so beautifully said. So a couple of things I'm thinking about as you were sharing the genesis of the book itself, and I love your phrase soul care, right?
Mhm.
Being able to take care of our soul and why that's so important. And you talked about the things that fill your cup. Give me an idea of something that sucks your energy and whatever that thing is, and I'm sure there's certainly more than one thing, but whatever it is, share with us what the antidote to that would be for you. So, what is a practice that you use to move away from the thing that sucks your energy towards something that does fill your cup, whether it's moving your body, whatever that looks like for you?
Oh, I love this question. And in fact, in the book, the editor, I have something, I have written soul set, like check your soul set. And they're like, that's not a word. I'm like, well, I'm making it up. It's going to be a word because there are definitely things. And I have a whole chapter in the book on energy vampires. And my assistant was like, what is an energy vampire? And I was kind of like, well, if you don't know, you might be one. But those are people that seem to, focus on the negative. The glass is always half empty, or they just want to they literally suck the life and the energy out of you. And so I say this phrase a lot, and my husband now says it, and I'm like, gosh, I didn't realize I said that a lot, but there might be certain people in your life that you can feel people's energy. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. I feel your energy, Jay, from the moment I get to talk to you or I see a text message on my phone from you. It's always good energy.
Mm.
And I think it's not just the people that we surround ourselves with in our inner circle or our family, but it's also people that we follow on social media. Maybe nothing against them, but maybe they just aren't encouraging or they cause you to get in comparison mode. And I always say, bless them and block them. Like, move
Good.
on. You have the ability to bless them. Maybe they're not doing anything against you, but it just doesn't make you feel good, then move on. And so really take inventory of who's in your life, real life, who is in your on your social media feed, and really focus on, are those people encouraging you? Are they motivating you? Do they give good energy? And we can't always block the people that are in our family, but we can set healthy boundaries. We can meet them outside of the house instead of inviting them in our sanctuary, in our home, in our haven. We can go meet them at a restaurant and put a time limit on that. And so I always think about, the people that you surround yourself with, because it can drain you. And there are antidotes to everything. There's always a way to do something differently. I realized that I lived on the gym floor. I was always so active. And so I realized that sitting on Zoom sessions all day long for hours at a time was not serving me well. And so
Mm.
my antidote to that was really putting a limit on how many, back to back coaching calls I'm going to do, how many back to back interviews I'm going to do. And so I thought, okay, how many, virtual keynotes am I going to do? I thought, how much can I do and give it my all before it's really not good for my health mentally, physically, even spiritually. And so I put a time limit on that and I set it in my calendar, but I also got a walking pad. I don't know if you can, I don't think I can tilt my camera down for you to see it. My
Okay.
husband did not want me to get this walking pad to put underneath my desk. He's like, "You're going to fall off," because I have fallen a lot of times. He's like, "You're going to fall. It's going to be a disaster. You're a klutz." And I'm like, I am getting that walking pad. And so I got it and I love it. So if I'm having connection calls or even some coaching calls, I get on the walking pad throughout the day and I can still move my body. And that again helps move my mood. So there are these little things. And then I have something that is a reminder for me.
Okay.
And it's a way to spark joy. And I need things that are quick. And so I came up with this acronym. It's called SPARK. And the S stands for shift your perspective. How in the moment can you shift your perspective of, man, I might be tired, but I am so grateful. I prayed for moments in the work that I get to do. I don't care if I'm tired. I prayed to get to do what I get to do. Gratitude is the easiest and quickest way to shift your perspective, to feel better about your circumstances. And I talk a lot about gratitude because it really is alchemy. It allows you to focus on all the things that you can do and that you do have. Now, the P is prioritize soul care and self care. And I carve out time in my calendar to make sure I'm eating healthy, to make sure that I'm getting to the gym, to make sure that every morning I'm getting down on my knees and I'm praying before I start my day. That soul care is also with gratitude. I have a gratitude practice and a group of ladies that hold me accountable to that practice. And then today I say soul care and self care. I'm actually going to a facility, it's a treatment center, and I'm doing float, where you basically float in an Epsom salt bath. I'm doing red light therapy, hot and cold plunge. I'm trying that for the first time. I was been kind of scared
Wonderful.
about that because of the CRPS, but
Okay.
I do whatever I can to take care of myself. The A is for align with your God given vision and your values in everything that you do, because every choice that you make is either moving you closer to your goals or further away. And so when you know your values, you can connect on other people that have similar values. That goes for hiring people to be on your team, the people that are in your life, but also it allows you to focus on that vision. And that's how you keep the momentum going. You got to know where you want to go. So
Absolutely.
align with that vision and your values.
I love
And
it.
then the
So
R.
Amberly, before you give us the R in the K in Spark, I'm going to hit pause on our conversation because we are going to take a brief break to thank our amazing sponsors. My friends, you are listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat. Don't you go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, we're back again, and you are listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat, and I am here today with my very special guest, Amberly Lago. What a fantastic conversation we are having already. I know you're enjoying this one as much as I am. So, Amberly, before we took the break, you were talking about these reminders. You were talking about the acronym SPARK. You've already given us the S, the P, and the A. So tell me about the R in Spark.
The R was a little hard for me. It's release what no longer serves you.
Mm,
And I think in order to do that, you have to get radically honest with yourself. It's that awareness around it. So for me in 2016, I started drinking. I went from athlete to alcoholic because I could not figure out a way. I was having invasive procedures and on so many different medications and treatments and surgeries to try to cure complex regional pain syndrome, and nothing was working. And so I started drinking. And that took me down. And I had to get radically honest with myself and release alcohol. It no longer served me. So, and by the grace of God, but in 2016, I got sober. But releasing what no longer serves you could be your own limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk that you have, the people that surround you who are always telling you no, you can't do those things. Uh, but I tend to get motivated when somebody tells me it can't be done. So,
me too.
but
Good for you.
um, and releasing maybe the habits that aren't serving you. Maybe it's, I tell my husband, do not bring home Doritos. Like I need to release the Doritos. They're not good for my waistline. But whatever it is that doesn't, serve you. And then the K, the last part, I think maybe the most important part of Spark, it's kindle connection. Not just connection to others, but connection to your gut, connection to your intuition, connection to your higher power, connection to others. It is so important. I think the key to success, the key to thriving is connection. We're not meant to do hard things alone. So, how can you kindle the connection? Is always offer value. Um, Ask what you can give instead of what you could take, and connect to yourself every day. For me, I sit in silence. In the morning, I get up earlier before everybody else because I want to connect to my intention for the day. And so I hope that if you're struggling or you're like, man, I need to have a little more joy in my life, you'll remember to spark some, that you have that joy within you and you have the ability to be a joy sparker. And one other thing I'd like to share is just something that I do when I'm having a hard day is I do something called joy spotting. And I always say, yes, joy comes from deep within you, but I always think there are days when I need to be reminded, and I practice joy spotting. So I actively go out there and seek things that light me up, and I actively go out there and do things to bring a smile on other people's faces. And it happened this morning. I feel like I don't know that many people in the area. We moved back here 3 years ago, and I go to the gym and I'm in my office or I'm traveling to events. I don't get out much, to be honest with you, other than
Sure.
walking my dog. And so the people that I do know are in this area are at the gym. And my friend Kevin came up to me, him and his workout partner, and they were like, and I mean, I have no makeup on. I like roll out of bed, throw on my gym clothes, and go. And they are so sweet. They came up and said, "You're looking good. I can tell you're working hard." And the other guy said, "You're looking good. I mean that with respect." They were so sweet. And I thought, wow, that just gave me a little boost of energy. And I started doing that
Yeah.
chest press even more. And as I walked out, a guy held the door open for me. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much. Have a good day." And he goes, "Oh, you're welcome," and smiled. It's like just the smallest things can shift someone else's day and it can shift yours too.
To that point, that is something that I have found is pure magic. And it's one of those things that when you can spark joy in others, and this is something that you mentioned, that it reciprocates, right? It compounds and it reflects back on you. So you're giving it, but then you're also receiving it, the power
Hmm.
of it at the same time. And I find that, and I want to speak to what you had talked about earlier around energy, right? Being able to feel other people's energy. I find that, to use your terminology, if I'm sparking joy and I'm finding those joyful moments and saying something that's joyful about someone else, meaning it, right? And saying it in the moment, that I can feel that person's energy shift and
Hmm.
change. Could be as simple as a smile, as simple as, have a fantastic day, or I just saw what you did over here, and know that I heard you, I felt you, that was so meaningful, and you're important, right? What you do matters, right? Saying things like those, like that, truly meaning it, speaking from the heart, but not being afraid to share things like that, because it truly can change someone's perspective. It can change their outlook. It can certainly change how they feel in that moment. And you just feel better as a result, and you ultimately attract people into your world and into your life who sometimes have the same type of outlook and the same mindset, right? Because we attract what we put out. So, thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I will tell you a funny story. So I go to the market down the street and there's a guy in the deli. And let me tell you, Jay, he is just, it is always seems like he is just having the worst day. So I intentionally go in there and smile and ask him how his day is going. And I asked him the other day, he goes, "Oh, well, it'll be better when I get off work, when I get to leave here." And I was like, "Oh, well, you're almost off work." And I just start talking to him, and eventually I get him to actually smile. And I can feel his energy change. And then he even gives me extra chicken. So I'm not saying to like be nice to people because you're going to get extra chicken. But in this case, hey, I got extra chicken, And so, but it is the gift that keeps giving because I think that when you can really genuinely look for the good in someone and you can acknowledge that, I think we all want to feel seen and heard and understood. And when you can do that for others and they feel appreciated, I think it's so important to feel appreciated. I grew up and my mom is just the best. She's a Southern belle, and she really, if we received any kind of gift, we always wrote a thank you note. And writing that thank you note allows you to feel grateful, to feel that gratitude. But when you get a handwritten thank you note in the mail, it means a lot. I don't know about you, but a lot of people don't write those handwritten thank you notes anymore. And I still do. And it means a lot to me when I receive something like that. And so it's just the gift that keeps giving when you can go out there and you can appreciate people.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you on that. And I also love the handwritten thank you notes. That's something that I try to do often as well, because I know how it makes me feel when I receive something like that in the mail. It's very powerful. So, Amberly, we are going to pause our conversation for now. This is what we will call part one. And next week, we're going to release part two. So, my friends, I want to thank you so very much for tuning into Business Minds Coffee Chat. We will be back next Saturday morning at 8:30. And until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep doing the work to reach your potential. Take care, everybody.